Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Miss Texas Show, where we showcase the life in Texas and highlight our amazing survivors of traumatic events, domestic violence, human trafficking, and sexual assault, as well as the community leaders to share their community resources. We have a segment called Military Times. We partner with the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Under this segment, we invite our military members who are now ready to share their stories and what they're doing in the community. Another segment is called Beauty for Ashes, and that is the segment where we invite our fellow pageant sisters who are contestants as well as winners, and artists, musicians, dancers, actors, last but not least, survivors who are now making a huge impact in our communities to share what they're doing. If you would like to be a guest on the show, you can email us at missusatexas@gmail.com. It's MSUSA Texas. You can also direct message us at MSUSA Texas through Facebook.
This isn't a house, and it's definitely not a home. It's a prison. The shackles may be invisible, but they are still very real.
What did you say to me? You think you can hide from me?
No! We all wonder why the victims of abuse just don't leave. It's simple, really. You can't leave if you don't have a place to go. Hope Pigs Global will be that place. If you need help or want to find a way to help, visit hopepigsglobal.org. The end of abuse starts here.
This show is sponsored by Hope PYX Global, a nonprofit organization supporting these causes. Today, we're so excited to have our special guest here, and her name is Tanisha Bankston. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Welcome, Miss Bankston. Thank you so
you.
much to be on the show. So just to let you guys know a little bit about, Miss Bankston's background, and we're gonna dive in and have her tell the story. So Miss Bankston is a childhood sexual abuse survivor, rape, domestic violence, and incest survivor. And, kudos to you, Miss Bankston, for breaking the silence. And it's very vital to break the silence so that you can get on the healing journey, but also help our fellow survivors to go through the healing journey together.
Yes,
she was
thank you.
raped at the age of, 5 or 6, but the man who raped her was never locked up. And I understand that there wasn't enough evidence for that. And when she told her mom what happened, she wasn't believed by some of her family members or the hospital because the man was never locked up. She went into a shell and never came out. So she lost her inner voice at the age of 6. Then when she was 11 years old, the neighbor candy store grandson started having sex with her for years. When she was 13, her cousin's husband got her pregnant, and she had her baby at the age of 14. And when she was 14, her son's dad then started having sex with her, and until she was able to escape at the age of 23. Those men were grown, and none of them were ever locked up. She found her inner voice last year at the age of 32, when she spoke up and spoke out. And she got a lot of backlash from some of her family members. But the great news is there is hope, and she is now on her healing journey. Welcome again, Miss Bankston.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Like I said, I am really inspired by your story of what you have been through and where you are now. So if you don't mind sharing, can you tell us a little bit of, what happened through those rapes starting, from the age of 5 or 6?
Yeah, like you say, like my bio, you just spoke it all and told it all. Yes, I was raped at the age of 5 or 6, and I was not believed. And I remember the man on top of me and me getting up, running across the railroad tracks to my mom, telling my mom what had just happened. And she called the ambulance, and the ambulance came, and I was taken to the hospital. But before I was taken to the hospital, it was like my brain hadn't done a shift. Like I had gone into this shell. I was this different person, this different child when that happened to me. And nothing was ever done to him. I was told that they did not have enough evidence, so he wasn't locked up. But I said, my mom told me I had to relearn how to walk again. And I said, was that not enough evidence of me having to relearn how to walk again and me telling you that this man had done these things to me and he had raped me? I didn't know what rape was and what it meant, because I was only 5 or 6 years old. So I shouldn't have known what it was or what it was stood for. And
That's so sad. Unfortunately, it's my understanding that you are not the only victim or survivor per se from these events whose abusers are not locked up. But,
sure.
I just want to let you know that there is hope in the healing journey, and you are on the healing journey. Just the mere fact that you are able to break the silence and speak up and speak out, it is a huge step. And it's different timing. I always say to our survivors, it's different timing for everyone, and it's all at your own pace, but that's a great sign. And as you can see, the theme of the show is hope, love, and unity. I really believe that there is hope in this healing journey, and that you are bringing light to our survivors at the same time when you are healing. So I hope that this will bring you some comfort. And can you tell us a little bit more about the other incidents?
Okay. Yes. I was taken from my mom and I was separated from my sisters and brothers when, I don't know, because when that happened to me, but my mom, she couldn't take care of us. So we were all taken by DHS. And so I was adopted by my aunt, and my baby brother was too. And so while I was staying in my aunt's house, when I was 10 years old, one of my aunt's boyfriend started having sex with me. He started manipulating me to have sex with him. He started getting me to meet him like at the dog pound, and he would give me change wrappers with coins in it and dollars and tell me not to say anything. See, when I spoke out when I was 5 or 6, I wasn't believed. So I went into a shell that I didn't come out of because I didn't know how to come out of, because it felt like my brain had done a shift. And so I felt like too, who would believe me? Because when I did say something, nobody believed me. And he had done that for years until he had passed away, had sex with me. And after that, when I was 11 years old, the neighborhood candy man had started manipulating me to have sex with him. He would give me candy, and when I would go to the candy store, I would buy candy. And he had me to come into the back room one day, and he had a blanket laid down on the floor, like he had already planned what he was going to do to me. And he pulled out a red condom, and he told me that everything was going to be okay, that it's not going to hurt me. And I was just looking like, why is this man, why is he doing this to me? But I didn't know how to speak out. I didn't know how to cry out. I cried out on the inside. And he stuck his long fingers inside of me, and he fingered me, and I was hurting. And then he forced himself inside of me, and he had sex with me, and it hurt so bad. And I cried on the inside. He ruptured my anus, and my anus bled, and I went home crying on the toilet. I didn't know how to tell my aunt. She didn't know any of this that was going on to me. And one day he had taken me to a hotel. He had me to miss school. His friends knew about it, so I thought it was okay because, you know, there's a grown man having sex with a child. Grown people didn't say anything, so you know, it became a norm to me because this is what was happening to me. And my aunt must have called the police because the school must have called her and told her I wasn't at school, and so she called the police. And the police came to the hotel, but he had the hotel in one of his friends' names. So he knew that he was in the wrong because he knew that if the police would come looking, they wouldn't find him. And so they end up coming to the hotel room. And when they came to the room, he was just about to have sex with me. He hadn't had sex with me, but he was about to. He hid me in between the mattress, the box spring and the mattress. So that's how small I was. I was 11 years old. He was in his 30s. And so he knew better. And the police came, he let him in, and they said they were looking for Tanisha Bankston. He said she's not here. And so then one of the police looked under the bed. I wasn't under the bed, and they were about to leave. And next thing you know, another police, he was like, hold on, wait. So he lifted up the mattress, and there I was laying in between the mattress and the box spring. And so they told me to come on, and he was handcuffed and he was taken to jail, to the police station for questioning. I was taken to the hospital where I had a rape kit done on me. And so they said by him not having sex with me, they couldn't lock him up. Nothing could have been done to him, but they found a pubic string of his on me, and nothing was ever done about him, you know, taking me to that hotel or anything. And so, but he had sex with me for years, and he would have me to sneak out of my window to go with him, and he would take me to the old train station and lay his jacket down and have sex with me. He would just have sex with me at his friend's house and just take me different places. And he had sex with me for years too. And then after that, I was 13 years old when my cousin husband started having sex with me. He would get me to meet him at Spain's, which is a grocery store, or getting me to meet him downtown, like late at night. So I guess people wouldn't see, you know, me getting in his car or see what was going on. And he had even come to my aunt's house one morning and had sex with me while my aunt and her boyfriend were in the bed asleep. So he had sex with me for years. And he would get me to meet him at my cousin's house, in his house, and turn the porn on, have me to watch porn. And he would grease my vagina up, and he would grease his penis up. And like, once again, I would say, on the inside, why is this happening to me? I didn't know how to tell them no, because I was a child and they were grown men, but I was being taken advantage of and manipulated to have sex with these grown men. And so he ended up coming on the inside of me. I didn't know that by him coming on the inside of me that I would become pregnant. And so I became pregnant. I didn't know I was pregnant. And my dad, I had gone on a church convention with my family, my dad and his wife and my two stepsisters. And I was sleeping a lot, and I was very hungry, and I was so shy. You know, I hadn't lost my inner voice. I lost my way of speaking out. I didn't know how to talk to people. And so my dad seen how much I was sleeping. And so when we came back from the trip, my dad asked me, was I pregnant? Of course, I didn't know I was pregnant, because I didn't know at the age of 13 that by this grown man coming inside of me that I would be pregnant. I didn't know that. And so, well, my dad and my stepmom, his wife, had taken me to the health department and had me tested for a pregnancy test to see if I was pregnant. So the test came back positive. Yes, I was pregnant. So the nurse had talked to me about having an abortion. I don't know if my dad had talked to them about it, but he said he didn't. He said he did not want me to have an abortion. But I don't know if because I was so young, you know, 13, having a baby, the nurse was talking to me about possibly having an abortion so I can, you know, move on with my life and have like a normal life and go to school. But I asked what was an abortion. She explained to me, and basically told me that I would be killing my baby. And I told her, you know, no, I wouldn't be doing it, because I was not going to kill my baby. And so, you know, after that, I never lived with my dad again. I felt like my dad had given up on me, because that's when I needed him the most. and I was safer at my dad's house. My dad never abused me or anything. I was safer there. And all the abuse happened to me while I was, staying at my aunt's house. My aunt didn't know about, some of the guys, but once I say she knew when the police was called, when the previous man had been having sex with me. So that's when it was known then that that grown man had been having sex with me. And so, like I said, my cousin husband started having sex with me, and my dad asked who was the baby's father. The dad, I didn't know because, other men had been having sex with me as well. And so I became pregnant. I had my baby when I was 14 years old. The doctor said I almost died having my baby because I was too young to be having a baby. And my body and my bones were not developed and fully ready to be pushing out a baby. And so then, as my baby started to get older, like she was 1 and walking and she was bow-legged, and my cousin had asked me, was that her husband baby? And I was crying. She dropped me off one day at work, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know that it was his baby. She asked me, had he been having sex with me? And I just started crying to her. And then they suggested that a DNA test be done. A DNA test was done, and the judge never asked why was this child in here with this grown man having a DNA test done. The people who swabbed us never asked any questions. And so the test was done, and the results came back to my aunt's house because that's where I was living. And so I didn't know how to read the DNA test. I was only 14 years old. So my cousin, she read the DNA test, and the DNA test, it read that, yes, he was the father of my baby. So that's why I say, my family knew then, because the DNA test proved that he was the father of the baby, and he was never locked up or nothing was ever said or done about it. It was like it was swept under the rug, like a family secret. And so, years just went by, my baby getting older and everything, but my cousin husband is the father of my baby. And so when I was 14, still at the age of 14, one night my friend girl and I were walking down the street, and my son's dad, he called me over there before he was my son's dad. He called me over there and asked me to come in the house, and he was talking to me. He asked me if I wanted to be his girlfriend. I didn't know how to speak out. I didn't know how to say no because my inner voice was trapped and it was gone. And so he had sex with me, and he had a condom. He had sex with me and everything. And I just, I was 14 years old. Like, why is all this going on with me? All these men taking advantage of me because they were grown. He was 23 at the time, and I was 14 years old at the time. And so he ended up, having sex with me for years. I ended up in a relationship with him. I don't say if it was a relationship because I was 14 and he was 23. I don't know what it was. And so that went on for years because I didn't know how to leave him. I moved out of my aunt's house when I was 17 and got my own place. And after that, he was staying with me, and I became pregnant at 17. He having his baby, my son, and everything. And he started just jumping on me, beating me. And so that's how I ended up in a domestic violence relationship with him for years. And until I escaped the domestic violence relationship at the age of 23 years old. And I just, just been in domestic violence relationships, and like I said, I escaped when I was 23, and all that abuse, and it's like my memories were suppressed when I was younger, and when I got into my teenhood, things started coming to me. But now I'm 33 years old. It started when I spoke out last year, July 3rd, 2020. That's when I rediscovered my inner voice and found my voice and found that I can speak out, I can share this, but I didn't know that I would be getting some backlash from some of my family members. Not all, some were supportive and are still supportive and everything. And so, I spoke out last year, and all of that, when I spoke out, it was just like freeing. It just came up off of me. And I always said that I wanted to be an author. I wanted to be a speaker. I want to help others who's gone through and who's going through what I've gone through. So the pandemic hit, of course, in 2019. So I spoke out 2020. In January of 2021, I got a message from God, and he said, it is time to write your book. And so I picked up my laptop and I started typing. So, you know, all of this is in my mind. It's not going anywhere. So I was able to just type. I typed over 20,000 words, and I just sent, you know, I reached out to different publishers, and they told me that my book could be published and that they approved and accepted that I could write a book. And so I birthed my book. My book was birthed in May of 21st of 2021 of this year. So I'm now an author of my book called My Pain is My Power. And so my life story is in that book. And that's what I do. And so I'm a domestic violence and an incest advocate. And some of my cousins, when I was younger, would come into my room late at night and funnel into my panties and touch me, and a cousin would put my foot onto his penis and masturbate, you know, until he masturbate and everything. And so now I'm 33. I've been having, you know, anxiety, depression, you know, PTSD, nightmares and flashbacks. Some days, some nights are better than the others. And it's like you said, I'm on my healing journey. And I look to move forward and continue to move forward and help the next person who's gone through. But, you know, nobody was ever locked up for what was done to me. And I question, like, why did this happen to me? My mom was locked up. She was in and out of prison most of our life. Like I said, we were all separated from our mom. My mom has had 4 children. I lost a brother, my eldest brother, when he was 19 years old to accidental drug overdose. And so, you know, trauma on top of trauma, all that I've been going through, and just with life now. But, you know, I just feel like I'm on my healing journey, and I hate I had to go through all that happened to me, but I just thank God that I survived, because I know that there's a purpose behind all that I've gone through, and that's to help somebody else get through what they've gone through or going through, and to be the voice for the voiceless. And that's what I look to do.
Oh my God. Yes, definitely. This is, you know, I'm sure you have the purpose for what you're doing right now. You know, from when you were first 5 or 6 years old, that you were first raped and you lost your voice, until today, you have made a long way, like great success for the book that you know, called My Pain is My Power. It is. And it is your power, and you are now taking it back. And as you can see, the logo in the back, it's the butterfly, that it resembles, you know, the new life, that you are truly just like coming out of the cocoon and now soaring in the sky. It's a beautiful butterfly that I see you in. And I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much for the work that you do as the, you know, the advocate against incest as well as domestic violence. Now, you mentioned about not getting the help from the people that when you needed it. You mentioned about people who did not believe you. I want to mention that we do have a support group that is open for all the survivors, victims, as well as their supporters, called the Survivors Against Violence Everywhere. We'll be putting on the link in the content section below. It's on Facebook, and we'll be, you know, love to have everyone join that, because it is a safe ground, same as the purpose of this channel. We wanted to have a safe platform for everyone to have their voice, not being judged, rather being loved and supported. So I also wanted to, you know, ask you, you mentioned something very important about the result from all those abuses, that you ended up having anxiety, PTSD, depression, you know, nightmares. Can you tell, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of audience that are listening in. Some of them might not be victims or survivors, but they might be supporters, and they wanted to support, but they need to understand a little bit more of what is going on. And because sometimes when our survivors, they come out of these situations, there can be triggers, and maybe they never, and I'm sure they never really intended to do that, but they would say something, they would do something that brings up the memory. Can you educate our audience about that, please?
Yes, like And that's another thing that I had to learn, what to say and what not to say to like trigger people and everything. So just be mindful of how you come off and how you say something, and just let people know that, well, this is a warning. I pray I'm not triggering you in no kind of way. And just ask them, are they okay? And just let them know that this is what you're about to release and what you're about to say, or this is what you're gonna post.
Yes, I think that's very important. Sort of, let them know that, where your intention is really to be there for them, to love them, but you just don't know how to do it. So you're trying to sense it in a very delicate way so that they can understand that you wanted to help, but you might say something that will trigger them. And I think it's my understanding, and correct me if I were wrong, as a survivor or victim, perhaps you can educate your supporters about certain things, and they don't know. So but when these things happen, you can educate, okay, so next time this does not. But if you can give them a fair warning of something that you probably sense is about to happen, I think it's very helpful. I mean, not every person out there is bound to hurt us, and it is great that we can teach them, because they don't know what they're doing. And
Exactly.
yeah, so I hate to ask you about the symptoms of anxiety, depression, PTSD, and the nightmares, but can you talk a little bit in depth about what the symptoms are, so that they can understand a little bit more?
Okay, so like with the anxiety and depression, like when you're getting anxious, or you're feeling racing, or you get racing thoughts, or your palms or your hands start sweating, and where you just get really anxious with the anxiety. That's the anxiety and depression, or when your mood goes from happy to sad, down to up, low to high. That is when you're in a state of depression. And so with the PTSD, when you're just constantly thinking about your trauma, your past, and can't get those compulsive thoughts out of your head, and recurring what's going on, and the nightmares and the flashback is where I just, at night, I'm constantly reliving the past, or having nightmares of where I'm seeing things, or where somebody's chasing me or after me, or where I'm just having the nightmares, or just bad dreams. I can't sleep. I'm tossing and turning. And so that's where the PTSD kicks in. Is just where you just seeing things in your mind. It's like you're sleeping, but you're having these racing thoughts, these vivid thoughts. And my thoughts are vivid to where I journal every day, and I'm able to get up and I'm able to write down those. So others may be the same way and they may not know it. So, that's when like I said, the PTSD and the nightmares and the flashbacks, that's where it's coming from. So if you don't journal, you can start journaling, and if you're remembering things that has happened, just write those things down. And I date those things every day, and like that's good to have. So if you want to go back and look, or if you don't, you can just, to me, it's therapeutic to get that off, and just to journal, write, and just seek help. Just if something is going on, or if you're having thoughts about what's happened to you, or about the past, or seek help, because there's so much. And like you just said, you have a support group, and there are so many supportive groups out there. And that is how I began to be where I am now, because I was introduced to a support group and not having to share things on my regular Facebook page. So, and just try to keep busy. Because
Thank you.
you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, that's great, because I was just going to ask you, what are the ways to get over them? Like you mentioned, like anxiety is sort of things that you're anxious about the future, and all those signs like sweating in the palms, and depression about the past of what has happened, and having the racing thoughts and the PTSD, sort of remembering the trauma and reliving them, and the nightmare. And I know it's not fun because I've had those before myself. It's not a comparison, and nobody is, it's not like mine is worse than yours or yours is worse than mine. We're all in this together. That's the part of the love and the unity, that we're in this together to support each other and share our resources, how we can heal together. It's great that you mentioned about journaling, because I think it's great you wrote 20,000 words in a book, and I can't wait to read the book myself. And about the book and the journaling to help kind of for me when I journal. I don't know, please tell me what your feeling is. When I journal, I feel like something was on my shoulder, and I was able to release it sort of physically, symbolically on a piece of paper, and it's just the weight going out. And I never know. I just thought, if I talk it out or if I just keep it within, but it's totally different. So for those of you who are listening and you haven't tried, and this will be like a, great method about doing that. And also, like Ms. Bankston talks about, seeking help, whether you're going to support group therapist and someone, but no one, no, just like one general one fits everyone, but find one that you think fits the best for you. I think that's the most important. And find the ones that are supporting you. And we have a lot of brothers and sisters. And just want to mention, and I'm sure Ms. Bankston will agree, that there are unfortunately survivors who are not just female but male as well. And we are here for everyone, because we all come from different backgrounds. I'm Asian, you're African American, but this is without the border. This is a global issue. And I want to let guys know that I'm here to support all of you, and we love you all. So, also I wanted to just like repeat and emphasize, the effort that you're making. You mentioned that it's God's calling, and it's timing now for you to serve the purpose, to help, not help the next person, so that they don't have to go through what you are going through. Can you tell us how you feel? Because I've interviewed other survivors as well, and they told me, like, as they are going through the healing journey, they're helping other people healing as well. And this actually in turn come back to them and help them with the healing. How do you feel about this?
I feel the same way, because as I speak and as I help others, is also helping me, because it's like that adrenaline is like releasing all of that off of you, and helping the next person. And it is very mindful, it is very helpful, and you just have to be mindful of triggers and just those warnings and everything. So
that is great. So tell us, like, about the book. I said I can't wait to read it, but for our audience, if they want to get it, where can they find it?
my book is on Amazon. Here's my book.
Wonderful. Yeah, so we're gonna put the book link below as well, so that if you're interested, you can seek the book through Amazon. That is really great. And I just wanted to ask again, like you said, I'm just quoting your words, I'm making the note. You said, I didn't know how to say no. I cried on the inside. Nobody believed me, because those people, those men were not locked down. What would you tell the people who are listening, whether they are just an everyday person that are supporting this cause, or they are getting educated about what is going on, or they are a survivor or victim that is going through this now, or maybe they're legislators who are listening? What message would you like to leave for them?
I would like to let them know that you are not alone. if no one else believes you, I believe you. And sometimes don't stop. Like, do what you have to do to make sure something is done. But everybody's different. But for me, I had to forgive those men, all 5 of them, for what they done to me in my childhood, so that I can move forward with my life. And sometimes forgiveness, you have to forgive in order to move forward. Yes, it's not easy. Yes, it's hard, but you have to forgive in order to move on so that you can properly heal and be on your healing journey. So that's what I will say to those. And just, you know, seek help, talk to somebody. If one person don't believe you, go to somebody else until you are believed. If it's a friend, family, stranger, because there's somebody who can get something done, because action needs to take place for what people have done to people or what people are doing wrongfully to people.
Well said. You're not alone, and I believe you, and I believe you too. We all, as advocates, we all believe you, and you're not alone. Thank you so much. And don't stop and do what you need to do. Forgiveness, that is key. I really believe that. Forgiveness is actually, my understanding is that you're forgiving that person who did the wrong to you. But most importantly, you're also doing that to forgive yourself so that you can move on. And I think the short version I usually call it is, forget the pain, learn the lesson, and move on. And I think that's just really important. Unfortunately, that was the wrong doing that's done to you. It was never your fault. So just don't have guilt on yourself because you didn't do anything wrong, just because someone else didn't lock them up, just someone else didn't believe you. It was not your fault. And just be yourself and seek the help until you find someone and take the action. That is well said. Oh my God, this is so much great information packed in this short interview. I really appreciate that you are making the time to be on this show. I know we have been trying to schedule an interview, and I'm so glad that we're finally able to have you on this show and to make this impact for the community. And thank you again for the great work that you're doing, Ms. Bankston.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on here.
So is there anything else you would like to leave as a final note to our audience before we close the show?
I would like to just stay true to yourself, believe in yourself, love yourself. Yes, some of it is hard, and just do something that helps you, even if it's to walk and just, if nobody else believes you, I believe you.
Thank you.
That's what I just want to tell y'all.
Thank you. If nobody else believes you, I believe you. That is, great message. Thank you again for your time to be on this show, Ms. Bankston. Once again, you're watching the Miss Texas Show, Hope, Love, Unity. We're here for you. We love you all. And tune in for the next session. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.